What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? What's up? I'm your buddy Big Johnny G. The Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and don't you forget it. Hey, welcome back, everyone. So glad to see my returning viewers, some new viewers. This is all very cool. I am here because I mentioned something. I mentioned something in a drop yesterday that really got me thinking. When in Tabletop Takeout Tuesdays, I mentioned about how the game I was talking about had one of my favorite boards of all my games, and that got me thinking. What are my 5 favorite board game boards? That's a list I don't think I've seen anywhere else before, and it kind of made sense to me after what I said for Tabletop Takeout Tuesday. So I have a list here prepared. That I think is a really great list of 5 great board game boards. So because sometimes when you're playing a board game, what you're looking at, the board itself, it can really help bring you into the game more. When the artwork is really appealing, or there's something about the game that is thematically bringing it to life. So that's what I was thinking about as far as 5 favorite board game boards go. So why don't we just start things off? So number 5, counting our way to the magical, the beautiful, the fantastic number 1. Starting off at number 5, my number 5 favorite board game board, Deadless Sentence. So this is a game by Eagle-Gryphon Games. It has a circular board. Now, it's not the first time I've seen a circular board. It's not the first circular board that I actually... it's not the only circular board I actually have in the collection here. But what makes it stand out is the ring system in the board. It really captures your eye because the premise of the game is that Earth has been overtaken by an alien force, and you and the other players are groups of prisoners that have been brought to this space prison. I can't remember where, outside of Uranus or Saturn or somewhere. I can't remember where. And the one and only human that escaped from it compared it to the maze that Daedalus created for the Minotaur from Greek mythology. And that's how it got its name if you were sentenced to go there. So the game the board that is a series of circular shifting patterns, boards, rooms, shifting rooms, and you're in the very dead center. That's where the prisoners are, and you've just escaped, and now you have to make it off of this space prison. But to do it is very tricky, because while you're being hunted by the guards, this board is shifting and moving while you're traveling along it, and that not only does it look really great and just thematically pops, that's for sure, but the board itself, because of this, why did I say that? The board itself, because of this, is a strategic tactic in and of itself. It's part of your strategy that you have to plan around that can hit the fan at any moment. So that's why it's on the list. Not just because it's circular, but the way the rings work, the way it shifts and changes constantly and affects the strategy of the game. Overall, it's beautiful to look at. It thematically works, and it's a great mechanic for the game that you have to keep track of if you're planning on winning this game. So, yeah, the number 5 favorite board game board for your buddy Big Johnny G is the Deadless Sentence by Eagle-Gryphon Games. And this is good for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, and should take about 60... That's what the publisher says. I'll say 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes. getting out of the list, number 4, my number 4 favorite board is a segmented board, let's say. And that goes to Doctor Who and the Time of the Daleks. This is by Gale Force 9, 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and the game should take you about, it's going to take you more than an hour. It's going to take you about 120 minutes, the publisher says. I think that's kind of close. Because sometimes the publishers are way off on what they say. So what I like about this board, and what I love playing the game in the sense of looking, visually seeing what I'm doing and what's being represented on the board, is I like this because it's multiple circular boards, and it has a sort of tile laying system. Now, in most traditional tile laying games, the tiles are all laid up. Everything is laid out as you're going along, and that's building the map of the place that you're adventuring in, whether it's a dungeon or whether it's an ancient tomb or a space station. It's building it as you're going. So this is a little different because you have the circular boards out, and they have these half pie holes missing in them, and that's what you're putting face down, these circular tiles, which are that went all Peter Brady on us again. So you're putting down these circular tiles face down, so you don't know what they are until you get there and you want to confront whatever the danger is in that time period on that part of the board. So you flip it over, and I really like the way this works in the game because it gives you your standard areas, your standard parts of the board that you can be going to, but it randomizes so much the minutia of the actual danger spots on the board, and I think that works really well, especially for a Doctor Who style game where he is traveling through time and space. It makes the board really work instead of just being a static board. So number 4 favorite board game board, Doctor Who, Time of the Daleks by Gale Force 9. All right, my friends, moving on. Number 3, we're in the magical trilogy here, so to speak, the trinity of my favorite board game boards. So this is actually the only true tile laying game on this list, and it's actually the game that made me think of the list. So if you tuned in yesterday and saw the Tabletop Takeout Tuesday, then it's no surprise to you that I'm talking about Shadows of Brimstone. That's by Flying Frog Productions. 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up. They list for, I totally agree with that, and they say 120 minutes. It could definitely take longer depending on how you want to play the campaign out. If you're going back to town after you go through the mine and deal with everything and survive, and and get dark stones and money, and you want to go buy stuff and upgrade, it can go more than 120 minutes. Because especially after you've upgraded, you want to go back out again, so it could definitely go longer. But as I mentioned yesterday, which sparked this whole thing, is these tiles are different. Most of the tiles that you play in the tile laying game board systems, they usually come in very square, very rectangular, oblong shapes that don't leave a lot to the imagination. Yeah, you have the picture, and the pictures usually look beautiful on these tiles, but they lack imagination because they are so static in how angular, square, and rectangular they are. But in Shadows of Brimstone, they went a step further, and since you are investigating a coal mine, a gold mine, I guess, actually, a gold mine, some sort of mine. Since you're investigating it in all these extra-dimensional, demonic creatures of Lovecraftian origin are seeping out and destroying the nearby town area, these tiles look shaped, are cut and carved like a mine shaft. So besides the picture, the drawing, which looks really great, glossy, beautiful artwork on these, just the shape of them alone bring you more into the game because it looks more like a mine shaft and a mine tunnel. And to me, that was actually one of the most beautiful things I saw about the game when it was originally up on Kickstarter, which I didn't kickstart. I should have. Kicking myself over that, no pun intended. But yeah, this is one of the things that really drew me to the game, and I was like, wow, I would love to have this game in my collection. I would love to be able to throw something that looks like this down on the table. And that's why that's right there, the midpoint. That's right there at the number 3 slot. So that's Shadows of Brimstone by Flying Frog Production. Now my number two favorite board game board that I've seen, I've played, I've encountered so far, definitely has to go to a new company called Sentient Cow Games, and their game is Secret Unknown Stuff, Escape from Dulce. Now this is first of all, it's a very interesting game. I've talked about it a few times already on our channel. Because it's a dungeon delving game, but it's based on modern ufology and pop culture urban myths. And wow, what a great subject to begin with. But the board itself, they decided to go an extra step further with the design of the board, because since it takes place with the ufology conspiracy theory of the hollowed out mesa in New Mexico that is jointly being run by U.S. And alien forces for genetic testing, scientific testing, that they decided to make this a 3-dimensional board. So you are literally starting in the very bottom of the base, and you have to work your way out all the way through the levels up to the top just to escape. And even then you have the final boss fight, which has a great feel, great classic video game arcade feel to it. It adds because of that, and it has fun role-playing aspects. But as far as this list goes, we're just talking about the board, and the board is really amazing to look at, and literally from any angle, because it is 3D and it rises up above your table. When we were doing a playthrough for the game and an unboxing, I think it was, for the prototype of it, Tommy V got some beautiful angles with the videotape because it was 3D, and he was able to come in at all these different angles. And wow, you're going to be mesmerized. Your eyes are going to be mesmerized by the board. And on top of that, it's a fun game. Now that, my friends, is bringing us to the number 1 slot. The number 1 game, my favorite board game board. The game that when you put it on the table, my eyes are the most mesmerized by, that I don't want to look away from this board because it looks so great. Besides the fact that, tactically speaking, you don't want to look away from the board. But the fact that it's so beautiful, you forget about the fact that you're staring at the board for tactics because it's just so popping. It really is. And that game is Spectre Ops. And that is by Plaid Hat Games. Good for 2 to 5 players, 13 and up. And it should run 1 to 2 hours for you. And I can agree with that. Definitely closer to the 2-hour mark if you're having a really good, intense game. So in a nutshell, this is a hidden movement game. It can be a hidden trader game if you're playing a maximum of 5 players, and one of the hunters for trying to hunt down the secret agent is actually working with the secret agent. That's another thing I like about the game. But the board itself, the board is beautiful, not only in the artwork, but the combination of the shadowy artwork along with the spot UV makes this thing pop, I think, more than any other board I have in this meager collection. I call it meager collection of this over 230 games, and it is easily the one game out of all of these games I own, all the games that I don't own but I've played with other people at conventions, at gaming stores. It is the most eye-pleasing board I have ever seen. Everything about this board works on so many levels. It works on an artistic level because of the contrast of the light and shadow being played, as I said, on the UV spot. It works on a thematic level because of the light and the shadow of the artwork. It fools your eye into almost thinking it's 3D. And the art itself depicting this futuristic, yet not super duper futuristic, but futuristic enough kind of warehouse house, scientific office. I'm not quite sure what it is you break it into area, but it has streets for the guard's car to go down and everything. But it looks fitting. It looks so fitting. Spectre Ops. So those are my 5 favorite board game boards. Quickly to go over it one last time for everyone. Coming in at the number 5 slot by Eagle-Gryphon Games is the Daedalus Sentence. My number 4 favorite game by Gale Force 9 as far as favorite board game board goes. It goes through Doctor Who and Time of the Daleks. And also, by the way, if you're a Doctor Who fan, hands down, it's my favorite Doctor Who game. My number 3 by Flying Frog Productions, that's going to Shadows of Brimstone. Now, there's a couple of different core games out there and expansions. They all look beautiful. The boards for all of them look absolutely beautiful. Number 2 game by Sentient Cow Games, Secret Unknown Stuff, Escape from Dulce. Beautiful 3D board, beautiful. Absolutely just, it captures your eye. And my number one favorite board game board, Spectre Ops by Plaid Hat Games. Wow, it just sucks me in. This board, looking at it, really does just suck me in. So those are my 5 favorite board game boards, my friend. Let me know, is there anything particular about a board game board that you find intriguing? Something that makes it one of your favorite boards to just look at or to play on. Let me know. Put it down in the comments down there. And because if you have a board that you think looks fantastic, I want to see it. Definitely want to see it, and I want to play it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for following us on Facebook. Thank you for following us on Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, as always, my friends, you know what I'm going to say. Thank you. Thank you all so much for subscribing to Two Gun Pixie, for liking, for commenting, and for sharing our videos on your other social media sites. That is so much fun. That is so cool. Thank you, everyone. I'm your buddy, Big Johnny G. The Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. And I am out of here.